It's a beautiful day in Tampa Bay, for thank God it's Friday, January 25th, 2019, the only 1/25/2019 in the history of humanity. Let us continue to choose
on purpose,
with a purpose,
to give a great day.
Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews. Sex in the pews.
Sex in the pews.
Greetings, you beautiful humans. This is Glenn Klein.
Owen Pratt.
Welcome into the Pews. Sex in the Pews. Glad to have you along for this rendition of all things sex, all things religion, and everything in between. Sex in the Pews, where sex and religion
come
together. We had a big decision to make when we decided on that slogan, whether to spell come properly, C-O-M-E, or C-U-M. We thought it would be a little bit too much on the nose to say C-U-M.
And we don't want to scare everybody away. We're still trying to appeal to some Christians, fundamentals,
We want to appeal to people's logic and sense of rationality.
And humor.
And their sense of
promiscuosity?
Promiscuity. One could debate that point, if it's a good idea to be promiscuous, because it's certainly a pejorative term in our society to be promiscuous, but there's a difference between being sexually healthy, sexually active, and just fucking anything that comes down your path. Anything that has, a dick or two tits and a pussy. How would you describe your sexual proclivities?
Sexual napalm.
I am still fighting off this fucking chest cold, man.
That's actually how John Mayer described sex with Pamela Anderson.
Oh, that's right.
Sexual napalm.
Pamela Anderson, was it?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so. I think it was it wasn't Demi Moore. I think it might have been Katy Perry. Google that shit.
By the way, promiscuous is defined as having or characterized by many transient sexual experiences.
Yeah, transient. You don't have those. You don't do like a lot of pickups and one night stands. I mean, you have relationships, more or less, with your dates.
This is true, but if the chemistry's there and it is just a one-time thing and nothing really sticks, so I don't have anything against that.
Well, something will stick. It's a very healthy young man, both physically and psychologically and emotionally, is the producer, engineer extraordinaire, Owen Pratt.
Jessica Simpson, by the way.
Was that Jessica Simpson? We knew it was a singer. Sexual napalm. I once saw, recently, a couple years ago, John Mayer make love to 50,000 people with his guitar. It was really something to behold. There are very few natural alpha males out there, ladies and gentlemen, who just have that thing. I would say 1%, if I had to say. Who knows? Now, I'm not talking about being a jerk and not caring about people. I'm talking about just a level of confidence that does not bleed over into cockiness. We like to call them, those alpha males, dicks. In our society, we basically interchangeably use the term dick and asshole when describing a jerky guy. Not a guy that jerks off, because then everybody would be a dick or asshole.
Just kind of a mean, rude.
It's right. It's just like that guy's a dick, that guy's an asshole. Mm-hmm. Basically means the same thing to most people, right?
I'd say so.
But beautiful humans, have you ever noticed, if you know your anatomy, that dicks and assholes are not the same thing?
I learned that sophomore year of high school anatomy class.
Survey after survey with beautiful human females, they ask, what do you find most attractive in a man? What are you looking for? And the number one thing...
Six-pack abs?
Not six-pack abs.
Really?
Not a massive middle leg.
Really?
Confidence. All you need to know about the difference between men and women are our sex organs. And women get pissed off at men for being men, and men get pissed off at women for being women. It's really ineffective and unproductive. Women consider men dogs and pigs and animals because we want to have sex a lot. And that we are willing, whether we're hiding it or not, to stray from a committed relationship that is also exclusive. That guy's a pig for doing. That guy's a dick. He was a dick. No, he was an asshole if he broke his word to you and got caught. That's one of that's stupid. A lot of guys want to get caught because they want the conflict and subconsciously.
Got a friend like that who loves getting caught.
Yeah. So women are looking for confident guys. Men, when asked, survey after survey, same answer. Sexiness, fitness, attractiveness, basically tits and ass. And so this is why a lot of women are attracted to the bad boys, because while men are external and they're visually stimulated because that's how we're built, just like our genitalia, women are generally attracted to the emotional or the internal, psychological, the attitude. Women, what do you find attractive in men? Confidence, ambition, intelligence, sense of humor. And then comes the physical down the road. You will see beautiful women with homely or average-looking guys in public all the time, but you almost never see a good-looking dude with an ugly woman, unless he's gay and trying to pretend that he's not. A lot of those women are called beards. You ever know that term?
I've heard that one before.
That's when a guy of the gay persuasion is trying to convince the people in his life that he's actually more masculine, and so they have a woman on their arm sometimes. And so they're attracted to the bad boys, these women are, and because these guys are masking their insecurity often with a cocky attitude, like, I don't give a rip, that perspective. And women are like, oh, this guy he's tough, he's confident, it's sexy. And then when push comes to shove in relationships, as they will, and the woman starts putting the pressure on, which they do, and start pushing the guy's buttons, which is inevitable, again, on a general, overall, linear scale, then these are the guys that sometimes freak out, become abusive, become stalkers, because they're really very insecure and immature. But a dick is different than an asshole. If a dick is working properly, it only has two purposes, basically. If a dick is working and is healthy, a dick brings life and pleasure. Yeah, pleasure. But for a dick to be working properly, it's got to be hard, firm, erect, potent, penetrating, well-positioned. And guys, it really doesn't make a difference. If you're within an average range, the average erect penis is 5.5 inches. If you're 4 3/4 inches, if you're 5 inches, if you're 6, if you're 6.5, if you're 7, that's all within a parameter. If it's too little, you got issues. You could still overcome that, but it's got to be able to get inserted in there. Most women's clitorises are not at the entrance of the vagina, so they're going to have to get stimulation somewhere else besides during intercourse. Generally speaking. A lot of women, if it gets much more than 7.5, 8, it hurts them, and they get intimidated. So women are looking for attitude. If a guy is firm and hard, a working dick, that he can bring life and pleasure to his significant other. If a woman's straight and she wants a dick still, she doesn't want a soft dick. That doesn't help anybody. Bums the guy out, bums her out. What's wrong with me, they think. I mean, there's a reason that the little blue pill and Cialis and all that stuff is taken off. The pharmaceutical industry has done so well with that. Do you know how Viagra started?
heart blood.
It was heart medication.
Heart medication.
And they found, because it increases blood flow, and they found these guys that they were doing the trial studies for were getting major wood as well as their heart was flowing better. And then they didn't use it for heart medication anymore.
Boom.
4 hours erect.
Call your doctor.
Yeah, it is. It can be a problem. So if a woman's straight, first of all, I'm amazed that there's any straight women left with as big a jerks as guys are, as big a assholes as guys are, insecure about so many things. And if a woman's straight, she wants a dick. She don't want a pussy. She's already got a pussy. She doesn't need another pussy in her life. Recognizing that a true dick gives life and pleasure, that means that a dick is a gentleman. A dick makes sure that his woman comes first in every way. A dick understands what makes a woman tick and will serve her from that level. You guys, women have words to get out. The average woman speaks 25,000 words a day. The average man, 10,000. We come home at night, we don't want to talk, but they still have words. Why do women speak more words naturally than men? I have no idea. It's just why are men's genitalia outside and women's are in there? If they ask God sometime. But I know this, that one of the greatest, if not the greatest, proof that there is a creator of the universe is the clitoris. You say clitoris or clitoris?
Clitoris.
Clitoris. The clitoris only has one purpose, and that's to produce sexual pleasure. You don't have to have a clitoris in order to have a baby. You don't have to have a clitoris to have sex. Only God could have thought that. Here's what I'm going to do. Evolution, there was no evolutionary need for that. The animals don't have clits. I know what these women are going to go through, so I'm going to give them something that they can literally take care of business any time they want. No muss, no fuss. I had a girlfriend of mine who had the hood of her vagina, the clitoral hood, pierced with a little ring, little clitoris ring. I said, "How's it going?" She said, "Amazing." She said, "I can bring myself off by just crossing my legs." I was like, "Really?"
Really?
I said, "Like at work and stuff?" She goes, "Yep. I'm sitting there at the desk and feeling a little stressed out. Already had my morning coffee, and all I got to do is cross my legs and just enjoy the ride."
Life would be very different for anybody, particularly men, if we could just
Come at will, without any recovery time needed.
Yes.
No muss, no fuss, no mess. You ever masturbated while you were driving?
Yes.
To completion?
Yes.
And how did you clean up?
Tissues.
That you just happen to have in your vehicle?
Yep.
That's how we say it, in the South. In the North, you say vehicle. But here in the South, you say vehicle. When you jerk off, like in your bedroom, do you clean up right away?
I don't really do it in the bedroom.
Shower?
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah,
efficiency.
Then you don't have to worry about that. Mm-hmm. I got a buddy of mine. He likes to have his gack on his stomach or chest, and he rubs it in and goes to bed. He thinks it's a good moisturizer.
I had a buddy in high school who he would use the, what do they call it, the drape that goes around the bottom of your bed, the lining there.
Yeah.
He would wipe it on that in high school. And his mom came in to clean it one day, and she said it was hard as a rock.
Did you ever see the scene in Good Will Hunting when Ben Affleck's brother? Or no. Well, it's actually it is Ben Affleck's brother, but he plays his goofy friend in the foursome, and they're at Ben Affleck's house in Good Will Hunting, and he's upstairs jerking off because that's where the VCR is, and the guy comes down and he says, "Morgan," Ben Affleck does, "stop jerking off in my mom's bedroom," and he says, "Well, let's move the VCR," and he's got his baseball mitt. He's got Ben Affleck's baseball mitt. He said, you jerked off in my baseball mitt? He goes, no, I just used it for cleanup. See, we want to deconstruct and demystify sex. People say all the time, oh, it's so sacred. It's so holy. You know how many people are bad at sex? That don't like sex? Do you know how many women that have never had an orgasm? When I was coming up, so to speak, the statistic was only 30% of women were orgasmic. Now, thank God, because of the sexual revolution and mass media and social media and Oprah Winfrey doing many shows about it for women, that percentage has gone up. But there's still a lot of women who do not achieve climax. I do life coaching, and it's amazing to me when I first start with a guy, and he's with a girl or his wife, and I will say, where's her clit? And he goes, well, what do you mean? It's just kind of in the place, I guess, where all clits are. No, all clits are not in the same exact place. Only 25% of clitorises are at the entrance of the vagina, and then they go up by 25% increments higher and higher and higher in the vaginal area. If a woman isn't getting stimulation during intercourse with your penis going in and out, and by the way, you don't need much to stimulate. It's nice to get in there, and it's nice to fill it up. That's why girth is so important to women versus length, because they only can go in so far. If it's not getting stimulation during intercourse, she's not. That would be like us trying to get off with just our balls being licked. It could be possible, but unlikely, right? You got to get some stimulation going. Why do you look bored?
Got a lot on my mind right now.
Where are you?
Elsewhere. I'm present. I'm here. I would consider it a sacred thing, by the way.
How the hell could we be talking about this and you're not plugged in?
I hear this from you just about 24/7.
But the people don't hear it. Do I sound bored?
No.
I preach this and teach this all the time.
That's one of the thoughts that went through my head. It's like, how does this guy just continue to be able to?
Because it's the truth. Well, it's the truth as I see it. You think that sex is sacred, somehow different than sharing a warm memory with somebody. Now, I'm saying that it is different. Obviously, it's manifestly different. But sacred connotes that there's some holiness about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say holy. There is to the extent that it's a spiritually connected, because I would argue that it being the act which facilitates the creation of life, that there is a proximity to what is on the other side of life that's not life, that closeness is, there's some form of that experience kind of has a not reverence in the way that it's more holy than or more special or more. I mean, it is really special. I don't know, not because I don't want to use the same language that defines something as good or bad or righteous or I don't know, negative, but
there's no moral distinction.
There's no moral distinction, correct?
And that's why it's healthy.
It's healthy.
It is stress relieving.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's fun. It's exciting. It's titillating. It's energizing. Mm-hmm. It's relaxing. It does. Obviously, it's one of the most intimate ways two people can experience each other, but it's not the only intimate way. I think that we need to demystify this. It's like demystifying God.
It's like that song by Hosier. What's it called? One of the lines is, "Take me to church. I worship like a dog in the shrine of your light. I'll tell you my sins. You can sharpen your knife." It's all about, his act of worship and expression through sex, the sexual experience.
Right. And the women love that because it seems so special. And you guys out there, you've got to understand that. And it is special. Women are being penetrated. That's a special thing. but it's not like something that should be, oh, I don't know, safe for marriage, for example, or safe for only one person your whole life.
Right.
In my opinion, this is obviously I'm giving my opinion here. I'm not imposing my thoughts on this at all. And if people choose to be virgins their whole life and never have sex with anybody because they never got married, I think it's a shame. I encourage people to think about these things. One of the most beautiful things you can experience is a healthy sex life. I mean, it's not unlike having a healthy diet or a healthy exercise regimen or yoga or sunshine or drinking a lot of clean, pure water. It's all part of a holistic approach. But all those other things that I just mentioned, they're not considered dirty. Religion, Christianity certainly comes against yoga because they think it's occultic. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that is so beneficial, a healthy attitude and a guilt-free attitude towards human sexuality, and that's the thing religion comes against. Do you ever notice that they don't, in these churches where they have the love weights services where they make these kids commit to not having sex, they make them commit before God, before their family, before their friends. I will not have sexual relations with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky, or any other woman before I get married. And if I have had sex, I'm recommitting myself to virginity or to abstinence. Love waits. That's because they think it's a sin, right? But they don't have them come down and commit to never eating shellfish.
Never cussing.
Never having an immoral thought. That's not part of the party. It's not part of the program. Why? Because religion seeks to control people's pleasure and to fulfill all that they have been created to enjoy. This is why it's the religious folks, generally speaking, that come against transgender rights, the right to use any facility, public facility. Who cares? Why would anybody be concerned what bathroom somebody's using? You know, Owen, here in the Hitting Home studios of Sex in the Pews, our bathrooms here are transgender. They're neutral. Did you know that? Didn't know that. Anybody can use our bathrooms.
Wow.
You met somebody the other night that you thought was transgender.
I did.
And so why don't you, it's a cute story. Why don't you share with the beautiful humans how that all went down with your buddy from Wales? It was cute.
So I'm at a bar here in, it was actually in St. Pete, watching my friend's band play. And this woman walked by me and she was beautiful, gorgeous. And she was about 6'1", dark. She found out she was from Bosnia, Eastern European, really striking features, pretty provocatively and really revealingly dressed. And she just walks by, and being 6'1",
she was
and
6'1".
wearing maybe an 2-inch wedge, she was about my height. And I'm 6'4". So I see this woman walk by me and was struck by her. And she goes, and I'm kind of in the dance floor. I see her walk past me, go and sit in a booth in the corner of the bar. And I look over at her and I make eye contact with her. And we kind of locked eyes for a couple seconds, longer than your normal eye contact, and then she leans over, grabs her boobs, and then shakes them at me and gives me a little wink.
With the boobs still in her shirt?
Yeah, still in the shirt.
But still a pleasant sight nonetheless, and a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was like
now that's sacred, goddamn.
And after kind of shaking off the experience of coming back to reality after seeing that and just taking a moment to appreciate the beauty of life and pleasure, I had the thought, I can't just let that happen and not go and talk to this woman. So I go and talk to her, find out a little bit about her, kick it for a little bit, and she was very forward with before she was, I forget what point brought it to this, but to the point where she's like, talking about spanking, and I'm like, oh wow, it's like, geez, this girl's really. Anyway, I go back to my buddy, awesome dude. He's Welsh, from Wales. He's got an accent, and just the man. I love this guy. He's hilarious. And he was like, bro, without even knowing that I had talked to her, he's like, bro, did you see that girl? He's like, you think she's a tranny? I was like, I had the same exact thought, but I really can't tell. I don't know. The boobs look really real. She told me she's from Bosnia. I'm not sure. So he's like, I said, well, he's like, go ask her. You go ask her. Like, no, you go ask her. I was like, all right, well, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. So we rock, paper, scissors, shoot. By the way, it's always 2 out of 3. And so I ended up losing. And I walk over to this.
Did you lose 2 in a row? Or
I lost 2 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was the will of God that you were talking to the tranny.
Yeah.
God intervened.
It's divine intervention. So I walk up, and she said she wasn't. She said she gets asked a lot by American guys.
Well, how did you broach the subject with the
way I
Amazon
asked the
woman?
question, and it's up to debate for my execution of asking this question. But I leaned in. I'm like, is there a question that you get asked a lot that I may be about to ask you right now? He's like, oh, what do you mean? I was like, well, how tall are you? I'm 6'1". I'm like, yeah, you've got some pretty striking features. You're tall, And she's like, no, I'm not a tranny. So that was the end of that.
Do you think she was a tranny?
I'm still not. I don't know. There's only one way to find out.
If she wasn't a tranny, would you have that sacred moment with her?
Absolutely, she was beautiful.
You would have
gorgeous.
You would have taken care of business.
Absolutely.
And what if she was a tranny?
There's only one way to find out.
You know what I like to say about trannies?
What's that?
If they just have larger than average clitorises. Do you know that the average clitoris is actually 3 to 4.5 inches, or 3.5 to 4 inches long?
No.
I didn't either until I was hosting a trivia contest. It was a show. You'll be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. It was a show on sex, a trivia contest on sex. It was like naughty trivia. And one of the questions was, how long is the average clitoris within a half an inch, you can guess. So people was like saying, a third of an inch, a quarter of an inch, or whatever. It's actually a penis that's internal. What you see, the head, the clit that you see is actually like the head of the whole thing. And then it extends inside the woman. Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
Yeah. That's why they don't have to get hard. They just get stimulated all over again. They don't need an erection. We need an erection. Have you ever noticed?
No. This is news to me. Explains a lot.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun,
Breaking
dun.
news from the Sex in the Pews newsroom. Men need an erection. They need to be hard and erect and firm and potent and penetrating in order to please a woman.
This message has been brought to you by Cialis.
We're going to be talking with Jaclyn Moore, revisiting her momentarily. She's waiting in the green room here at the Hitting Home Studios of Sex in the Pews. Why are you so tired and stuff? I mean, you got a good night's sleep. Had some coffee. This tea that you had maybe mellowed you out.
Yeah, is it chamomile? Lavender or something?
I don't know. It's good though.
I had a pretty crappy night's sleep though 2 days ago. Maybe leftover.
That was the St. Pete night.
Yeah, that was the St. Pete night.
Yeah,
I didn't go to bed till about 4 or 5.
Did you hook up with anybody?
No, I did not.
And what ended up happening after the concert?
We went back to this lovely lady's house, and she was friends with the band, and I met her and her friend that night, and we went to her house and kicked it and drank and ate pizza and burritos until about 5 a.m.
Anything else?
Yes. Where am I? I don't know if I want to talk about this on radio.
Well, you don't have to.
You found the boundary. Talked about a lot so far here in the pews.
We're having sex in the pews is what we do. All right. Well, then you don't have to.
Maybe later, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. We're not on SoundCloud.
Why aren't we on SoundCloud?
Because I haven't made the account.
Right on.
Anyway, we've also got a newsletter, the G-Spot. Come to every time we post a new show. Glenn does those. He does a great job with them.
Thanks, O. O's a great editor, by the way. O's really smart. He's not just a pretty face. And I don't know, fucking good team, I think. I know we are.
Like fucking Kobe and Shaq over here.
I like to think it more like Red Auerbach and Bill Russell. You have no idea who those people
Yeah,
are.
those names mean nothing.
Red Auerbach was one of the greatest basketball coaches for the Boston Celtics in history, and Bill Russell was one of the greatest players. And they just won championship after championship after championship. But I'll take Kobe, and obviously you're Kobe, and I'm Shaq. Obviously.
How about who's MJ's coach?
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson.
Michael Jordan. Phil Jackson was a client of mine at the summer camp. His boys, Charlie and Ben,
Really?
his twins, came to Camp Menominee in Eagle River, Wisconsin. Let us be joined now by Jaclyn Moore, who might know about Camp Menominee. She is from Chicago. She's 50 years old. She's a single mother of 3. She's married and divorced twice, a sales executive, an artist, and she has been making up for lost time, as we found out the last time she was in. She is a member of our power rotation here on Sex in the Pews. Please welcome in the pews, Jaclyn Moore. Hello, Jaclyn.
Hey, how you doing?
I have no complaints, but thank you for caring enough to ask. How are you?
You know what?
What beauty?
Oh, I thought there was an echo a second ago, but it went away. That's Owen.
Boom. Spinning the knobs.
Did you take care of it? Okay.
How did you enjoy our conversation?
You know what?
Extra
I
here.
do have to say, though, I was listening to the introduction.
Yes.
I'm 57.
Wow.
I think you thought I was 50.
You don't know. I mean, you don't look 50. I mean, you don't look 50. You certainly don't look 57.
I'm going to be 58 in May. You know what is funny? I recently got contact lenses for the first time ever, right? And I go to try them on and whatever. And I looked in the mirror and I realized that I've been walking around with all these wrinkles that I didn't know I had. All of a sudden I could see them. So that's kind of annoying. But
You want to do anything about that?
wrinkles?
Yeah.
I've tried every single available cream. Nothing works. I guess sex would be good for it, right?
Actually, what they say,
Sex on the face?
semen. You take some semen and rub it seriously, because there's a lot of vitamins and
Protein, I hear.
protein. They're saying it's good for the teeth. And I just read an article yesterday, which we will be sharing on our social media, that semen is actually good for depression for women. You don't think that any men
And
were
your morning smoothies.
Wait.
spearheaded that study, do you, by any chance?
Okay, so I could see how rubbing it, using it as a cream might work. How would it work for depression exactly?
I haven't really read the whole article yet, and it wasn't an article from Onion. Just to reiterate, Jaclyn Moore was married twice. She was a virgin at birth. It's the second time I've said that. Most people were.
Most people are.
And her first marriage, which only lasted 10 months, and then she had some dating experience, and then got married. 23 years she was married, 3 children, and a grand total of sex with her now ex-husband 6 times. It apparently wasn't very sacred to you, the sex.
No, it was non-existent.
What would you say is some of the things that you've done or did during your marriage, Jaclyn, more than 6 times?
Anything.
Well, like, did you go to Florida 6 times during your marriage?
As a couple, probably not.
But as an individual?
In all honesty?
No, as an individual.
Yes.
Did you go to
course.
6 Chicago Bulls games in 23 years?
Many.
So
Big
you had
Chicago Bulls fan.
way more Bulls than sex.
Yes.
And you were there during the Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson era.
Yes, we were. At that time, you could actually buy mezzanine seats for $16 day of the game.
The old Chicago Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That was an amazing place to go watch a hockey and basketball game. What else did you do 6 times at least, besides sex, in your marriage? Did you go to 6 funerals during the 23?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
6 bar mitzvahs, 6 weddings?
Absolutely.
In other words, many, many normal life things you did more than 6 times during the course of your 23-year marriage.
Exactly.
Why did you only have sex 6 times? Ish.
It was through no fault of mine, I don't believe. It was really, he used it kind of as a punishment for me. He was never happy with me.
You must have been in trouble a lot.
No, all I did was breathe. I think we talked about this, right?
It's all right. We have new listeners all the time. It's a fascinating story.
Okay, so yeah, all I did was breathe. It's just existing, just ticked him off. And he used that as a punishment. So that was his way of controlling things. And
How much did you ask him about it? How much did you talk to him about it? Did you say, "What the fuck? Why aren't you?"
Oh, all the time.
And
He used a word that I had to, at the time, I'm embarrassed to say, I had never heard it before, and I had to look it up to see what he was talking about. But I was very loving, and I just wanted his attention, and I was trying to be a good wife and the whole thing. And, I'd tell him I loved him and all these things. And he would say to me, "You're perseverating."
Persevering?
No, perseverating. Now I was going to go look it up,
I'm
right?
going to look it up.
Did you look up that other thing when we were talking?
The John Mayer thing?
Oh, yeah, you did.
I looked up something.
What was that?
Let's change the subject. Okay, so last week, let's see.
To
I
perseverate
wrote it down.
is to repeat or prolong
Last
an
week.
action, thought, or utterance
Wait,
after
go
the
ahead.
To perseverate is a verb. It means to repeat or prolong an action, thought, or utterance after the stimulus that prompted it has ceased.
Exactly.
So what he was saying was that you just keep repeating yourself over and over and over again.
When it referred to us and, stuff about us.
Other than the fact that he was withholding sex for, maybe he was gay, who knows why.
No.
Maybe he was just a control freak. Other than that, was he a decent guy?
To other people.
But not to you.
Exactly. Even now.
God, that sucks, Jaclyn.
We don't
That really sucks.
speak, really.
That blows that happened to you.
And I understand he's very nice to other people. He's a decent father to our children, so I'll give him that. But he just holds on to things forever. And just, he doesn't even think. It's kind of like on automatic pilot where wherever I'm concerned, he becomes like this, Jekyll and Hyde thing, goes back and forth. And to other people, he's nice and thoughtful and kind, and they have nice things to say about him. And then he'll turn to me and call me every name in the book and just be mean. So we just don't talk because I don't have room for that in my life.
This is the aforementioned asshole. This is not being a dick. This is not being a pussy. He was being an asshole.
Well, see,
Stinky.
both of my ex-husbands
Producing
do have the
shit.
same name.
What, asshole?
Exactly.
Asshole 1, asshole 2, asshole 1.0, asshole 2.0.
Yes.
Before we get to your research, were you orgasmic during the 23 years?
No.
So not only didn't you not have sex, you weren't climaxing at all during those 23 years.
No, I didn't know what an orgasm was. I didn't actually have an orgasm until I was 48 years old.
And how did that happen?
Well, I was going through a divorce, and funny thing is, I had some girlfriends over, and we were talking, and they were talking about vibrators, and I was kind of like, "What's that?" And they told me, "Are you kidding? You don't even know what a vibrator is?" And then we all got in the car, and we went to Lover's Lane. They introduced me, and it was like, tell her.
What's Lover's Lane?
Lover's Lane?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're over there. I guess they're not a national company, so it's a kink store. You can buy anything.
Because
there.
they used to call. You remember when we were kids? You would go to like some alley or some street, and they would call it Lover's Lane. That's why they call the store. That's why they call the store Lover's Lane. I'm sure.
This is a store. And
All right.
It's like on a lot of street corners, just as common as Walgreens sometimes. But
Wow. All right. So you go there and what goes on?
the minute you walk in the door, I mean, you get greeted like Walmart.
Hello.
And then
Oh.
you're kind of embarrassed to say, but my friends weren't embarrassed. They're like, oh my God, look at this girl. She has never used a vibrator. You have to hook her up. So,
Like, did they hook you up
Yeah.
right immediately? Like, they plug you in? It's like, come here.
well, there are little rooms on the side. No, I'm kidding.
You're not
No,
kidding.
we went to the display area. And they selected a few and pulled them out of the boxes and demonstrated them on our hands, and told me which ones were featured in Sex and the City. And
This is not Sex in the City. This is
Sex in the Pews.
baby.
right. But in Sex and the City, they
Lovers.
made a big point about the bunny.
Did you get the bunny?
Of course they did.
And so, all right, so you get the bunny at Lover's Lane. Do you remember what city you were in at Lover's Lane?
Probably Libertyville, I think.
You were at the Libertyville Lover's Lane in Libertyville, Illinois, and you probably can't wait to get home at this point.
Right.
And so you take the rabbit home. Is it the rabbit or the bunny?
It's a bunny, I guess.
It's a bunny.
Or a rabbit,
All right,
whatever.
and
I think
so-
it's called a rabbit.
all right,
Yeah,
so
they make
do they-
lots of them and they call them rabbits.
What kind of directions does it have, the bunny?
I don't
question.
know. Who needs directions?
Well, apparently you
Put the
did.
batteries in.
And then you just went to town?
And I went to town.
And how quickly did you take to achieve orgasm?
It was pretty quick for the first time.
Like,
I didn't look at the clock, but it couldn't have been more than a minute.
wow. Oh, my God, Jaclyn.
You're a minute away your whole life.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Oh.
Crazy, huh?
So how many times did you go that night?
Oh, and this was in the afternoon, by the way.
How many times did you go that afternoon?
I only the once at that time. I didn't know, as stupid as I was, that there was the possibility of multiples. I didn't try. I just, I was like, oh, wow. Who knew?
And then what? After the 1 minute, then what did you do?
Well, I cleaned it up and I hid it
Did you
because
go have a
I was
cigarette, Reverend?
actually still living in my house with my husband that I was going through a divorce with. I hadn't moved out yet. So I, hid it when I was done. Well, washed it off, cleaned it first, but then I hid it.
Again, feeling guilty, feeling shameful. This is
Well, not shameful.
embarrassed.
just
not
like-
wanting to get caught. You're doing something wrong. And see, this is why we're doing what we're doing. We want to eliminate guilt.
Oh, I have a funny story.
Guilt-based, I can't wait. Guilt-based, shame-based condemnation about what is so beautiful, human sexuality. One of the reasons we want people like Jaclyn to share, and we have, and I ask the questions I do with Owen, and I share stuff, of course, all the time, is because people that are listening around the world are in the same boat. There are women right now that are in their 40s that never achieve orgasm. Go get yourself a bunny. If you don't have a lover's lane, you got something. You got a finger, for Christ's sake. Listen to this one, Jaclyn. Here are the countries that in our first week of Sex in the Pews we have listeners in. Ready? The United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Spain, United Arab Emirates, Australia, Switzerland, Cameroon, Italy, Jamaica, Poland, Sweden, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Libertyville.
There you go. Yeah, they've got it on the speaker at Lover's Lane probably now.
We should reach out to them. They could be our corporate sponsor, or the bunny could be. No, there are multiple. There's probably billions of women out there that have not achieved orgasm. Billions. That's just a shame. And that's
It
why,
is a shame.
and we have fun with it. It's tittillating. We, obviously, I still have the emotional maturity level in some ways of about a 13-year-old, which I'm good with. That's what's kept me young. But what we're here for, beautiful humans, is to help and to demystify the whole issue of sexuality vis-a-vis the creator, vis-a-vis religion, because we know what religion actually is and what actually is motivating, especially fundamentalist Christianity in this country. That's what the country was based on. And when they say that we're a Judeo-Christian country, it's true, and it ain't good. It's just how it went down. This is why we do what we're doing. This is Sex in the Pews. Glenn Klein, Owen Pratt, spinning the dials, Jaclyn Moore in the great city of Chicago. So what was the funny story that you wanted to share?
The funny story involved, well, I'll just start. So I'm going through a divorce with my husband. This is, the 23-year marriage.
Right. This is asshole 2.0.
This is asshole number 2. And he, first of all, I was the one who filed for the divorce. Clearly, we had grown apart. But he couldn't, his ego couldn't take it. So he's telling the whole world that I'm having an affair, which was not true. But he had to concoct, good word, a story. And so he's telling everybody this. So he's one of those people that just repeats something so many times, a lie, that he eventually believes it. So he honestly believed it. And here's a guy who was kind of a cheapskate, didn't want to spend a lot of money, but he had his lawyers depose me. They literally pulled me into a room. I'm sitting in a room with he and his lawyer and my lawyer. Both of us had a lawyer and their helper, whatever, their lower level lawyer with them. And there was the court reporter and me, and we're sitting at this huge table, and they're going through my visa bill. And they want to know what this charge was for and what that charge was for, because they think that they're going to find something that I spent on my lover, right? So they get to this. When you buy something from Lover's Lane, it doesn't come back as Lover's Lane.
None of the sex stuff does. They're
none of it
discreet.
does. It had some code name. There were a few things because I had bought, now that I had that, I got some tapes on erotic massage. I got all kinds of stuff, right?
And you must have been having a field day.
It was for me.
You must have been having a field day.
I did. So they're going through this thing, and most of it was, they picked up, there was a store called Red Envelope, which actually I just bought. It was nothing. It had nothing to do with sex. It was like a gift store or something. And I don't know what I bought, but it was nothing. And I said that. And then they go, what about this charge here? And I said, I looked at his lawyer right in the face, and I said, and this is all being recorded, the court reporter, I said, you don't want to know what that was. And he says, yes, I do. I said, no, trust me, you really, really don't. And he said, well, just tell us what it was. And I said, vibrators. And he goes, oh, more than one? I said, 3.
Was that in front of your husband too?
Yes.
Oh,
it
I
was
love
in
that.
front of everybody.
That's fantastic.
And I said, anything else?
Any further questions, counselor, for me?
Yeah, that was it. It was kind of funny, but I mean,
Here's what you should have said, Jaclyn. You should have said, "You want the truth? You can't handle the truth." Well,
no, I just
Jaclyn Moore,
them.
Jack Nicholson. It's kind of close.
And then I looked at the court reporter, and I did say, "Did you get that down?"
Nice. When's the first time?
I do have the transcript now.
What was the first sexual experience you had with a man that you achieved orgasm? How was that?
Crazy.
Crazy good?
Uh-huh.
Please inform. Inquiring minds want to know.
Let's just say they don't call me Squirt for nothing.
Hello.
Wow.
Oh, that's all we need to know.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, and we will cover that, so to speak, and a future episode with Jaclyn Squirty Moore from the great city of Chicago. Squirting is a big thing. Guys love when women squirt. And we love when they come. If a guy is giving and loving and wants to produce pleasure in his woman, but it is a manifest. I had a friend of mine, who said I couldn't get any woman to squirt. He could get any woman to squirt. I was like, really? Please educate me. And he told me how to do it.
How do you do it, Glenn?
Well, if you can picture this, you get you put equal pressure on the clit with you could do your thumb, and you're pressing down lightly on the stomach and kind of moving towards the vagina, and then you take, like your two middle fingers, index finger, middle finger up, maybe even the third finger, because by that time you're being able to get three fingers with no problem up there, and you're moving towards the G spot, and you're pressing your clit, you're pressing the clit, and you're massaging the stomach down, and then bingo.
That one's free, ladies and gentlemen.
That actually was not the way we did it.
Well, some people are natural. Some women are natural squirters.
How did it happen for you?
I don't even know exactly. I will tell you, though, it wasn't like that. I know that for sure. But a lot of what I think happens is mentally. I think that, the brain is supposed to be the largest sex organ, and I think that is. And, I was really engaged in this relationship and really, and it just happened.
Was it
many times.
Was it the first many times? You learned about multiple orgasms apparently later in life.
Yes, and with this particular person, there was that, and there was all kinds of stuff, and just being mentally present, I think, helped me to achieve these things.
How many men had you been with after your divorce before you met this dude?
Oh, before I met this dude, after my divorce. Whew. Wow. I don't know.
Well, what's the over and under? What's the over?
Now we'll have to go through the Rolodex.
No, we don't have to go through
between the two marriages.
Was it 10? Was it
no,
5?
No, it wasn't. It actually wasn't a lot.
It probably was.
It
probably was a good thing that you didn't meet this guy right out the box, because you would have thought that's how it would be for everybody that would be willing to have sex.
Yeah, no, there were a few guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 to 5 in between my divorce and this guy. So, no, I hadn't been able to do that with any guy.
So other than you were completely mentally turned on, and yes, you're absolutely right, the biggest sex organ is the one between the ears, without question. There's so much of erectile dysfunction that goes along with that. I had a client who was married for several decades, and didn't have a sexless life, but had was pretty parched,
flatlined.
Yeah, it was pretty desert-like. And he gets out there, and he was having trouble achieving orgasm. No problem getting hard, but he was having a problem achieving orgasm, except when he'd be outside of his hometown. And so it took some coaching and some interviewing to figure out, well, what was happening when he would be able to achieve orgasm and come, and when he wasn't. And finally he said, I guess I'm subconsciously thinking that somebody's looking over their shoulder at me, or I'm looking over my shoulder. See? He obviously was physically capable of achieving orgasm. He masturbated without a problem. It's like when guys wake up in the morning and they have morning wood, the MHO, early morning hard on. That shows that they can get an erection. But sometimes, and regardless of age, sometimes they can't when they're with a woman, and there's an issue. Fellas, get yourself some help. Go to sexinthepews.com. Email us. We will help you. We're happy. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, any problems or questions that you're having out there in the bedroom, feel free. We'd love to talk about these things and bring them. And I'm sure any question curiosity topic that you can think of that you're curious about, or issue that you have in your life that you want addressed, I'm sure there's 10 times, 100 times people out there that have the same issue. So please do that. This is the purpose. This is why we're here.
This is the community that we have formed.
It's a community.
Yes, and that you're part of. We just want people.
This is the congregation.
Amen, brother. Preach.
Okay, I have a question for you guys.
I have an answer for you.
Okay. Can I change the subject a little bit?
You're our special guest. You're the lady comes first. Go.
Okay, so we were talking last time about orgasms while driving. And you asked if I had used my bob while I was driving. And I said no, because I haven't, and I don't want to get distracted.
Right.
However, I didn't finish the story. I have been on the receiving end as a passenger in a car.
Like a reach over, huh?
A reach over.
Yeah.
And funny thing is, I mean, it was very interesting. We were going up a hill towards a railroad track, and just as we went over the railroad track was exactly
wow.
You couldn't have choreographed it better.
Perfectly timed. So obviously the guy was driving with probably his left hand, right?
Yes.
And reaching over
correct.
with his right hand in the passenger seat.
Yeah, it would have been odd the other way.
What did?
Yeah.
Unless you're in Great Britain and you're driving on the right side, then it would be.
That's true.
This is your homework assignment for the week, congregation.
So,
and in all honesty, I didn't really enjoy it as much as I wanted to, because I was worried. I was scared
Sure.
that this would be a distraction for him, and they're going to find us with my pants down.
that was my next question. Was it easy access, or did you have to pull your jeans down?
Well, they weren't down completely, but they were, it would kind of be obvious if something happened, that something was happening there. And don't text and drive. It was kind of like don't have sex and drive. Don't sex and drive. I don't know.
Have you ever given roadhead?
No.
You can imagine what that is, right?
Yeah, and no, I was worried. I mean, but
yes, you got to be
time
careful.
I let it happen, and it was good. But I was but at the same time, just nervous the whole time. So
Right,
I wasn't able to enjoy it.
Probably
Now,
the fact that you went over a railroad track right at that time was actually probably helpful.
yeah. So that was in a car. But so here's the thing with a question for you guys. So I used to ride a tandem bicycle with somebody, and I never told him, but I often did orgasm while we were riding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell him?
I never told him, so I'm just wondering.
Why?
So
Wait,
if you were the guy,
wait. Okay.
that's my question.
Okay,
If you were the guy, is that something I should have said?
What do you think?
Well, now, yeah, probably.
Yes,
in
of course.
hindsight.
We love that shit. Are you kidding me?
Do you? You love that shit?
Of
That's what I was
course.
asking.
Of
Do you-
course. Now, I have to tell you something, Jaclyn. A guy that would be taken back by that or be insulted by that, that's a guy to say, bye-bye. That's an immature, insecure motherfucker. Right?
No, this was that guy.
No, he would have loved to. Do you agree? Oh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had roadhead? Oh?
I have not.
You got to be careful. Speaking from experience.
Cruise control.
Sometimes you can't do cruise control.
Or you can maybe have to be less careful if you drive a Tesla.
That's a very good point.
That's a great name. Sorry, Tesla. Sorry.
Why is that a great name?
It just makes me think of something else.
What? Testicles?
See, kind of,
It took me a minute. But see, Jaclyn's mind is getting more and more towards the male way of thinking of things. And that is...
It is. Do you say a pianist or a pianist? I'm sorry.
I say a pianist.
It's a good question.
I say pianist.
Pianist.
Exactly, and that makes me think of that, too. It's...
That reminds me of a thing that happened at the bar across the road here the other day. Slow night. I happen to be one of the only people sitting at the bar. And this guy walks in, and he says to the bartender, if I can show you something that's amazing, can I drink the rest of the night free? The bartender looks at me. Do you know this joke?
No, but I can't wait.
The bartender looks at me, and I kind of shrug my shoulders. He's like, sure, amaze me. So he takes out a little brown paper bag, and out of the brown paper bag, he brings out a little itty-bitty piano and a little itty-bitty piano player. And this guy puts him on the bar, and he is just jamming. I mean, he's playing Rachmaninoff. It's amazing. It's just incredible. You've never seen anything like it. And the bartender said, that's incredible. Where did you get that guy from? He goes, well, can I drink free for the rest of the night? He goes, absolutely. He says, well, in the paper bag, I've got a lantern and I've got a genie, and this was a wish. And the bartender asked the guy, he said, do you have any more wishes left? He goes, yeah, I could give you a wish as a kind of a tip and a thank you. So he said, when the genie comes out, though, you've got to speak up really loud because the genie's hard of hearing. So the guy goes, okay. And he takes out the lantern, rubs the lantern, boom, the genie pops out. And the bartender says, I wish for $1 million. And with this, there's ducks flying all over the bar. They're shitting over everything. And the bartender said, I didn't ask for $1 million or $1 million ducks. I asked for $1 million. And the guy at the bar said, well, you think I asked for a 12-inch pianist? That's my pianist story, ladies and gentlemen.
That's hilarious.
She is Jaclyn Moore. She is a Chicago-based artist and sales executive. She's 57. That's hard to believe. And she is in the power rotation here on Sex in the Pews. Owen Pratt, Glenn Klein. Go to sexinthepews.com. Click on the subscribe. You can get the G-Spot newsletter free and just delivered to your inbox, and what other stuff we got there.
We got Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. If you're listening on iTunes, feel free. It would really help us out to help get spread our Sex in the Pewsness.
Spread our seed, if you will.
Spread our seed.
Our
if you would
Sex in
give
the
that
Pewsness.
a subscribe and a rate, review. Give us a review. All this stuff helps follow us.
And of course, send a submission for the dick pic of the week.
Boom.
Where that's a fine feature. By the way, Daniel, our IT guy, said it's by far the #1 page visited. There's a shocker.
The dick pic of the week.
The dick pic of the week contest. Huh. So you have to go to Sex in the Pew. It's not what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just tell you that. Jaclyn, always a pleasure. Really appreciate it. Stay warm in the Windy City. Go Bulls. And we love you, and we really appreciate you being open and sharing and being such a good sport and having such a great sense of humor and being willing to help people around the planet.
Thank you. I have to say,
yes, ma'am.
This is the best menage a trois I've ever had. Was it as good for you as it was for me?
The answer to your yes or no question is yes. Having said that, have you ever had a menage a trois?
Oh, here we go.
It's a yes or no question.
No.
You have not?
Not yet.
Not
How's
yet.
That?
Would you have one with two men? Would that be your preference, or another woman and a man?
It's funny. I've had this conversation before. And
it's like a deja vu moment here.
Yeah, kind of. I think I would enjoy two men and me.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen some porn with that? Like
yes.
2-on-1, and is that something that turns you on?
Yes.
And what about the whole issue of double penetration? Do you think you'd like to go for that?
Perhaps.
I hear her leaning Owen more yes than no there.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Well, you just come
Hard
on.
to make a commitment.
Come on down to Florida, Jaclyn. We'll put you on the first flight down there from the Windy City. Thank you so much, honey. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There she goes, Jaclyn Moore from the great city of Chicago. One of the great things that I love in life is collecting people. Just collecting beautiful humans and relationships, and the power rotation that we have forming between Jaclyn and Dina Lynn and Melissa Anderson and Michelle Ashbaugh, and I mean they're coming, so to speak, and they're just all wonderful and open and transparent and authentic, but they're all very different. That's so cool, man. That is so fucking cool.
It's amazing. We have a mutual friend that is convinced that everyone has such a unique sexual personality, as unique as our individual fingerprint.
Yeah, and they are very sexually experienced, and they came up with that idea. I'm not near in those numbers what he's at, but it's been my experience. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the problems with only having one partner in your life is when Dawn and I we got divorced, and when we got divorced, we stayed close, and Dawn was dating, I was dating. I had a girlfriend for a while. She met some guy, but we'd always come back together at some point. She'd be out on a date that maybe kind of fizzled out. I get a call 2:00 in the morning, booty call. I was like, all right, I'll open the door. Great, awesome. Brush my teeth, freshen up a little bit. Here she came, in more ways than one. And the best, Dawn and I always were sexually compatible. We had great sex during our marriage and since. But the best sex we had is when we were doing other people too. It was just like, because we were learning things, of course. But it was very sacred and holy. I hope you heard the sarcasm in my voice, sir. You can say what you want. I had to sort of get you going here today a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, but you livened up. Once Jaclyn started talking about a ménage à trois, then you started getting going.
Dildo story was pretty good.
Owen Pratt spinning the dials. Oh, what did we learn today?
Today we learned.
What did you learn?
That railroad tracks make for a great climax.
Or at least a helpful climax.
Helpful. It can be the.
What did I learn?
Today, Glenn, you learned that Jaclyn would prefer ménage à trois con two hombres, which is español para with two men.
Another thing we learned was that the place where she first got a vibrator was called
Love Lane? Lover's Lane. Lover's Lane.
Yeah. Well,
hopefully. You also learned that if you ever come across a genie and have one wish, speak loud and clear.
What do you think? I was wishing for a 12-inch pianist? And with that, this is Glenn Klein.
And Owen Pratt.
For Sex in the Pews saying, Shalom, everybody.
Bitches.
Maybe we should change that. How about this? Let's try this on. Instead of saying bitches.
What do you want to say?
All right, let's do it again.
All
okay.
Right.
This is Glenn Klein.
Owen Pratt.
Saying, Shalom, everybody. Lovers.
I'm into it.
It doesn't have the same thing as bitches. We've had, I like bitches. It reminds me of my ex-girlfriend Kimber used to say, bitches. We're coming at you, bitch. That's good memories.
Right on.
All right, lovers. Bitches.
Congregation, disciples of love.
Loving bitches.
Loving bitches.
Talk to you beautiful humans next time on Sex in the Pews.